Ed, what's the challenge of this time of year like when you're trying to keep track of all these other rosters and where you guys might need to pick up at the end, and everyone's got 90. There's just the rosters are so full, and you guys are looking for stuff. What's the challenge of this time of year?
Well, the important thing I think is just having a good process, right? Like we got a great staff, so we divide up the teams because we're not going to expect one guy to have. Like I'd rather have quality than quantity, right? Like I don't want, hey, Joey Elliott or Shaw or Kevin, you got 9 teams. Like we split it up pretty even. Like we all have 4 or 5, including myself, and we try to highlight guys like we think this person can help us, or this guy would compete with our, this whatever it is, the last position in that position group can compete with the last guy in our group. So, and then we get together and we'll watch those guys as a group. But it's pretty similar, honestly, to how we do the college thing, but it's just teams instead of colleges.
Stephen?
Hey Ed, so I mean, there's been a lot of talk about running backs lately, and whatever people think of the value of that position, what have you. But I'm wondering, like with JT, you guys have, you saw what you saw when you drafted him and went and got him and traded up. What about him specifically is unique at a position where a lot of guys can be productive? What do you think has been specifically different about JT and let him be so successful?
Well, I think specifically it's the speed, right? The home run speed. Because there's a lot of guys that are good runners,
Yeah.
but they're not a threat to go 80 yards. And that's kind of what set him apart. Like right away, if you had to pick one thing, whether it was in the draft or even his time in the league.
Cool.
Chat.
Ed, with JT, this is such a unusual situation that where you guys find yourselves. Can you at least tell us, is he rehabbing the initial injury? Did he do something else? I mean, it was a high ankle sprain. Is this become something more? What can you clear up about that?
No, I won't talk about injuries.
Okay, well,
Nice try though. That was
gotta try. I mean, I'll take the bullet.
You got a new guy on here, so like, hey, hit him with the one that no one else will answer.
No, nobody else will talk.
Fresh meat.
Maybe you didn't get the memo. Well, I guess then kind of to go off of what Joel said, knowing that whether you guys know or not what's going to happen, how do you have to look at the running back position? Because you've got to be ready for September 10th, regardless. Is that what you've been doing? Like you bring people in, and how does that impact that?
Look, honestly, I mean, I'm not going to BS you guys. I mean, it's just like college, like we do with a quarterback. Whether we have one or not, you never know what's going to happen because we've literally been through it where we had a great one in here and 2 weeks before the season, hey, I'm done playing. So you just got to always be prepared for everything. And every year, like whether it's a draft or a great player in the league, like someone that's, hey, this guy's going 1 overall. And, in years past, we didn't even have a first round pick, right? So you're like, he's going 1 overall or he's going in the first round to be long gone. And then something happens. I mean, you guys watched the Laramie Tunsil thing. I was in Seattle. We thought we had no shot. And then he starts dropping in the draft. So you just got to always be prepared for those things. And I mean, we don't treat it any differently. I mean, we evaluate everybody every year.
Thanks, Ed.
Nate?
Yeah, Ed, last time we talked to you, you talked about how, one of the challenges with evaluating Anthony was just kind of how many voices he's had in his ear over the years, quarterback gurus and whatnot. And now, coming to a new team, obviously he's got like 3 more voices in his ear. So does that just underscore kind of why he needs to play, the reps he needs to get to kind of make those 3 voices kind of the more present ones?
I don't know that these voices he has now are, I mean, it's consistent. It's the same message every day, and it's going to be for a while. And I mean, just watching him from OTAs until now, the cool thing is every day is just is a little bit better than the day before. That of course he's a rookie. There's going to be some plays where, oh man, you should have looked here, or you're inaccurate on this, or you didn't see this guy, but literally every day's been a little bit better. And that's been awesome to watch, honestly.
James?
Ed, how would you assess just the offensive line, what you saw from them, obviously in that first preseason game, but just overall trying to make sure that group, is obviously better than it was last year?
Yeah, I think they're playing better. And, I know, in the games, I mean, yeah, look, there's a bunch of different guys in there, and there's people that aren't used to playing next to one another. We got some new guys that if one guy makes a mistake, it'll look bad. But overall, there were some really good things. And then obviously, we're watching practice every day too. And there's just more, at least I feel like there's more, there's more power off the ball. We look more like we did in 21 as opposed to 22.
JJ?
Ed, when you do the evaluation of any player, once you get them in the building, you kind of live with them. How much what do you look for when you actually get them in to confirm some things you look in your evaluation?
Are you talking about workouts when we have all these workouts?
Yeah, just through the scouting process, and then once you get them in the building, you start seeing them, how they interact, how they practice, all those things.
Well, I mean, if you're talking about acquiring a player through the draft or something like that, even an unrestricted free agent, I mean, we're going to lean heavily on the character we got from the school through our area scouts and through our cross checks. And then, if it's a pro guy, we're going to look back at that stuff, and then we're going to call people we know in the league and verify it or see if there's anything new. And then, we've also got, which we do all during camp. I mean, we bring people in all the time to get our emergency list ready. And it's the same thing. We're going to make calls. Hey, how's this guy in your building? And by and large, I mean, we're all competing against one another, but you call another team, they're usually pretty honest on why they moved on from a player, or if it was a character issue or not, or if it was just something else.
I guess with Anthony specifically, now that you've kind of lived with him per se for a couple of months, what stood out to you just about how he works and his personality?
Well, I think, his comfort, I know if you talk to some of the offensive linemen, he's got some confidence in the huddle, and not like, hey, I'm this young first round pick, I got all the answers. Not that. I mean, it's not too big for him. And, he's comfortable in there. And even and we saw this in college, it was one of the things that I got excited about him, his poise and his feet in the pocket, just how he kind of feels pressure and moves, that's that natural instinct that he has that some others don't. And these offensive linemen see it, when they're watching tape of practice, and they know that we don't have to be just perfect all the time. And this isn't, obviously he's big, right? He's real big. He's real fast. I'm not talking about the running, but just the subtle movements in the pocket, and then in the huddle, calling out the play, that sort of thing. I've heard comments from some of those guys like, hey, he's doing a good job with that.
George?
Along those same lines, I mean, you obviously knew physically how talented he was, coming in through the draft. How much did you know about his work ethic and his ability to kind of quickly pick up concepts? And how much of that have you kind of found out over the last few months, or confirmed over the last few months with him in the building?
I think what we've done is confirm a lot of things, because we spent so much time talking to people that coached him, that have been around him, and then with him, leading up to the draft. I mean, I felt like I probably wore him out. I mean, I'd call him all the time and ask him, because I was rewatching stuff over and over and over. Like, hey, what about this? Why'd you do this here? What made you throw it here? Why didn't you throw it here? I just ask him a million questions as his coaches, everybody. And it confirmed it. And that's why we picked him, and we're comfortable doing so, because it's just it's what everybody said it was going to be.
We'll take two more, starting with chat.
Ed, when you're looking at the progress or development of a player, and you've got Bernhard at left tackle. I mean, last year he was a work in progress just because of the experience. What have you seen in OTAs and preseason? I think he played like 30 snaps to maybe tell you that, this guy, if he sticks with it, is going to be a pretty good left tackle.
Yeah, I think it's just, it's slowed down a little bit for him, and he's using his hands better. He's timing his punch better because I remember last year, he's thrown right into it. He was probably a little lighter, and when you're not sure, you're catching, and then that's a guy like him. He needs to get his hands on, he who makes first contact usually wins. So when he's catching, that's where he had his issues, and he'll still do that every now and then, but you just got to be patient with these guys. And I'd say both ways. Like I was sitting down watching a preseason game on TV the other day, and somebody made a catch, and the guys on TV were like, they were going to put him in the Hall of Fame. I'm going, let's slow down. Like, we got a long way to go here. And that goes both ways, right? Like a player being not working out and then one working out.
But clearly encouragement.
Oh yeah.
You see the arc going up.
No, Tony's done a good job with him. We were never, I guess what I'm saying, we were never as down on him as everyone else. We knew he was going to have some struggles as a rookie. And it was just, hey, go out there and trial by fire.
Thanks.
Last question, James.
Ed, yesterday, Shane Steichen said that, he expects JT to return to the team this week, doesn't know when he's going to practice. We obviously know what's going on with him, but is the expectation from the Colts that JT is going to play for the Colts this season?
I'll let Chris deal with that.
I had to pull a page out of chat book, so I'm sorry.
Hey, we had a free agent workout, and I've been in meetings all morning, so I don't know what's going on.
Go down and ask Chris and get back with us.
Going to pass the buck too.
All right, thanks, Ed.
You got
it.
it.